faithfully conveying value, exploring global great books. Hello? This is Sally's Book Club. Today, we're diving into the book, Jerusalem, the Biography, a city described by media as a 24-hour news spectacle. A quick search on Baidu or Google News reveals hundreds of thousands of media updates about Jerusalem, with top stories refreshing almost hourly. Speaking of which, breaking news just came in. On December the 6th, 2017, President Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and ordered the relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv. This announcement immediately sparked explosive global attention. The UN General Assembly even convened an emergency meeting to discuss the issue. Why is Jerusalem so special that it requires a U.S. president's declaration to confirm its status? Why would news about Jerusalem warrant the UN's urgent attention? Without understanding Jerusalem's history and its unique position in religious and political landscapes, these developments remain puzzling. That's why we're introducing Jerusalem, the Biography today. This book might help unravel these mysteries. Understanding the past is key to comprehending the present. As a historical work, Jerusalem, the Biography chronicles 3 millennia of religious and political transformations. The book's massive content is organized into 10 parts with 53 chapters, each containing detailed subsections. Some chapters include up to 10 subsections, yet even this 600,000-word volume can't fully capture Jerusalem's complex history. The author streamlined details, resulting in a mosaic-like narrative that dramatizes thematic organization over linear storytelling. However, the book categorizes historical fragments under major themes like Judaism, Islam, and the Crusades, forming Jerusalem's historical framework. First comes the emergence and development of the 3 Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The second aspect involves conflicts between followers of these 3 religions. Therefore, in discussing this book, I'll follow the author's framework by exploring 2 key perspectives. First, what relationships exist between Jerusalem and the 3 major religions? Second, what large-scale conflicts have occurred in Jerusalem? Before we begin, 2 clarifications are necessary. Firstly, Jerusalem lies inland on the eastern Mediterranean coast, a strategic crossroads of 3 continents, historically contested by civilizations. Egypt, Persia, Macedonia, the Roman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire all conquered this territory. Thus, Jerusalem's surrounding areas bore different names like Canaan, Judea, and Palestine across eras. These geographical terms have nuanced regional variations. To simplify, I'll exclusively use Palestine hereafter. Secondly, Jewish history involves complex terminology like Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews across periods. Similarly, I'll consistently use Jewish people, nation, for clarity. Now, let's examine Jerusalem's ties to the 3 faiths. All revere it as holy, yet their sacred interpretations diverge. In Judaism, Jerusalem's ancient temple was their religious epicenter. Jerusalem remains their holy city. Around 1000 BCE, King David unified Jews and expanded a fortress into Jerusalem. His successor Solomon built the temple there per David's dying command. What made this temple religiously pivotal? This requires tracing Jewish origins. Early Jewish history, documented in the Old Testament, mixes verifiable events with myths and cryptic passages. Its core reveals a covenant between a people and their God. Per the Pentateuch Bible's first 5 books, the Jewish patriarch Abraham resided in ancient Palestine. Abraham's descendants migrated to Egypt and became Pharaoh's slaves. Later, they escaped under Prophet Moses' leadership. While crossing Sinai, Moses received divine revelation. God granted the 10 Commandments and promised, if Jews lived by these commandments, their ancestral lands would be restored. Moses' successors led Jews to Palestine, where they became entangled in wars. At this time, Jews were a tribal confederation governed by elders, united through worship. They worshipped in a portable sanctuary. This mobile shrine was a tent containing a sacred wooden chest, gold-plated inside and out. Its dimensions and materials followed strict specifications, housing the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments. It became known as the Ark of the Covenant. What was the Ark's purpose? Jews believed it manifested God's power. During battles, they carried the Ark to invoke divine assistance against enemies. Around 1000 BCE, they faced a crisis.
Defeated by the Philistines with the Ark captured, Jews faced existential threat.
Enter David, mentioned earlier, then a royal guard. How did he gain this position? Chosen by a prophet, David defeated Goliath with a sling stone, saving Israel from Philistines. Though becoming a hero, David's fame bred royal jealousy, sparking political turmoil. After power struggles, David unified the Jewish nation as king. He expanded a small fortress into his capital, Jerusalem, retrieving the Ark there. David declared God's eternal residence in Jerusalem. On his deathbed, he ordered successor Solomon to build the temple as the Ark's permanent home. This demonstrates Jerusalem's profound significance to the Jewish people. Jews worshipped God, believing divine power manifested through the Ark housed in the temple, thus anchoring God's presence in Jerusalem. The temple served as their spiritual nucleus. Thus, Jerusalem became their sacred city.
However, prosperity turned to ruin when Babylonians invaded 4 centuries later.
These conquerors from Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq,
destroyed the city and looted the temple. The Ark vanished during this conquest, with many Jews taken captive. Babylon's victory seemingly erased God's glory.
Paradoxically, this catastrophe deepened Jewish spiritual connection to Jerusalem. How to interpret the holy city's fall? Was it divine abandonment or corrective punishment? During Babylonian exile, some Jews anticipated renewed divine favor. They embraced the latter explanation, attributing disaster to covenant violations. Jerusalem's destruction became viewed as divine warning, an eschatological precursor. Yet hope persisted for Jerusalem's rebirth through renewed faithfulness. What path would lead to this promised restoration? First, they codified national narratives through scripture compilation. Thus emerged the Hebrew Bible. To affirm their chosen status, Jews established distinctive laws, observing Sabbath, practicing circumcision, and using Hebrew names. Thus emerged Judaism's familiar rituals. Persia's conquest of Babylon rewarded Jewish perseverance. Under Persian religious tolerance, Jews returned to rebuild Palestine. They reconstructed Jerusalem and its temple. This second temple endured 5 centuries into Roman times. By 1st century BCE, Rome dominated the Mediterranean world. Palestine became a Roman client kingdom under Herod the Great. He transformed Jerusalem into a landmark of the Greco-Roman world. Herod clearly understood Jerusalem's prestige directly impacted his status as Rome's vassal ruler. He resolved to make Jerusalem rival Alexandria and Athens in architectural splendor. Every Greek or Roman traveler should marvel at its unique grandeur. Historical records describe the temple, adorned with gold plates blinding viewers at sunrise. The Royal Stoa, a colossal colonnaded hall overlooking Temple Mount, stood as another marvel. This space hosted both social gatherings and religious ceremonies. Alongside Hellenistic architecture, Jewish traditions shaped Jerusalem's unique character. Passover commemorated the exodus from Egypt under Moses' leadership. Historian Josephus documented festival crowds exceeding 250,000 pilgrims. Passover transformed Jerusalem into crowded chaos, with sacrificial lambs everywhere. Pilgrims purified in ritual baths before purchasing lambs near the temple. At night, thousands camped outside city walls due to overcrowding. Trumpets echoed through streets mingling with sacrificial aromas and incense. Jerusalem's prosperity relied on collaboration between Jewish elites and Romans.
Zealots despised this compromise with pagan rulers, sparking rebellion.
In 70 CE, Roman legions besieged Jerusalem after crushing rural rebellions. 4 months of siege claimed over 1 million Jewish lives. The Romans destroyed the temple, carrying sacred artifacts to Rome as trophies. In 130 CE, Emperor Hadrian destroyed Jerusalem and built a new city with Roman temples on the temple site. This destruction forced Jewish diaspora worldwide, with the temple never rebuilt.
For nearly 2 millennia, temple restoration became central to Jewish eschatology. Ironically, Roman destruction facilitated Christianity and Islam's independent development. Christians interpreted the temple's destruction as God transferring favor to their faith. They claimed to be Judaism's legitimate heirs. Muhammad initially faced Jerusalem in prayer, but later redirected to Mecca, affirming Islam's supersession. Having covered Jerusalem's Jewish connections, let's examine its Christian sanctity. Jerusalem was founded by Jews who built the temple to house the Ark. The Ark symbolized divine presence. Despite 2 destructions, Jerusalem remains central to Jewish spirituality. Christianity sanctified Jerusalem as Christ's crucifixion established the new covenant there. Jesus, a Jewish preacher from Nazareth, lived under Herod's rule. As a Roman client ruler, Herod maintained political stability. Jesus' early life remains obscure, except for his scriptural engagement. He, immersed in Hebrew Bible study, believing himself the prophesied Messiah. Jesus meticulously fulfilled Old Testament prophecies through his actions. So what was Jesus really thinking? He left no writings, but later Gospels provide windows into his teachings. The essence of Jesus' ministry lay in an apocalyptic prophecy. This prophecy foretold an imminent judgment day for all humanity. Jesus focused on humanity's final chance for redemption before apocalypse. For Jesus, Jerusalem and its temple held profound spiritual significance. Yet this sacred Jewish space had become commercialized under Greco-Roman influence. Jesus expelled merchants and overturned money changers' tables in the temple. He condemned this Roman-style secularization as sacrilege, ultimately provoking arrest. Before arrest, Jesus held Last Supper in a Jerusalem upper room on Mount Zion.
Romans mocked him as King of Jews and crucified him as deterrent.
Two figures emerged post-crucifixion: Jesus' brother James and Paul the Apostle. James led Jerusalem's Nazarene sect of Jewish Christians. This sect remained within Judaism, teaching in the temple for 3 decades. Initially, this Jewish sect differed little from other branches. Paul became Christianity's radical catalyst through Gentile evangelism. He traveled Eastern Mediterranean, spreading his interpretation of Jesus. Revolutionarily, Paul preached to non-Jews, heresy to traditionalists. To Gentiles, Paul emphasized Christ's resurrection over Jewish law. Paul viewed resurrection as divine communication, validating New Covenant. He told everyone, not just Jews, that believing in Jesus and following his teachings established a new covenant promising salvation. This message resonated with Greek-speaking audiences, who enjoyed philosophical contemplation of Jesus' sacrifice. Paul's teachings quickly gained popularity among non-Jews. As followers multiplied, Christianity gradually developed its identity. Over centuries, Christianity spread beyond Jews to Greeks, Romans, and Germanic tribes.
Most congregations operated semi-clandestinely, under Roman suspicion. Roman authorities alternated between ignoring and persecuting Christians as subversives.
A dramatic shift occurred in early 4th century CE. Emperor Constantine claimed divine vision of cross with "Conquer" by this inscription. After victory using cross-marked shields, he legalized Christianity. Constantine later established Christianity as state religion.
Jerusalem regained prominence through Constantine's mother, Helena's building projects. Helena constructed churches at holy sites, like Church of Holy Sepulchre. 2 decades of construction transformed Jerusalem into Christian hub. Previously, many Christians showed little interest in Jerusalem's physical sites. Thus, Christianity's bond with Jerusalem became institutionalized. Jerusalem's sanctity derived from Christ's passion and imperial endorsement. Lastly, we examine Islam's later emergence, influenced by these traditions. Islam emerged in early 7th century CE. Its founder, Muhammad, studied Christian teachings under a monk and engaged with Judeo-Christian scriptures. Through these studies, Muhammad gradually recognized Jerusalem's sanctity.
Islamic tradition describes Muhammad's night journey, transported by Buraq to Jerusalem from Mecca.
From Jerusalem's Temple Mount, he ascended through 7 heavens, receiving divine revelations. Muhammad acknowledged Moses, David, Solomon, and Jesus as prophets. but believed his revelations superseded previous traditions. Eschatological beliefs drove Muslim conquests, securing Jerusalem by 638 CE. Caliph Abd al-Malik built Dome of the Rock 691 CE on the Ascension site. Jerusalem's Islamic sanctity stems from Muhammad's spiritual connection. The night journey established Jerusalem as third holiest Islamic site after Mecca, Medina. Muslims believe Jerusalem will host Final Judgment Day events. Thus completes Jerusalem's tripartite religious significance: Jewish temple legacy, Christian passion narrative, and Islamic ascension create competing claims. These narratives fundamentally shape adherents' perceptions and actions. Understanding modern Jerusalem requires this historical framework. We now examine major conflicts, Crusades, and Israeli-Palestinian disputes.
Crusades 1095-1291 sought Christian control through medieval holy wars.
Modern conflicts reflect competing national religious narratives. As author Simon notes, Jewish dominance 1000 Yosats, Christian 400 Yosats, Muslim 1300 Yosex. All three religions claim Jerusalem through swords, catapults, or cannons. The Crusades epitomized such struggles. This conflict pitted Christianity against Islam.
In 1004 CE, Arab rulers persecuted Christians by banning festivals and converting churches into mosques, sparking Christian backlash.
Pope Urban I launched the Crusades at 1095 Council of Clermont. He vowed to conquer Jerusalem and liberate the Church of Holy Sepulchre. Urban I preached that killing infidels absolved sins. Thousands answered the call. 80,000 crusaders, including nobles, mercenaries, and peasant armies. This chaotic coalition eventually captured Jerusalem.
They massacred Muslims and Jews, leaving the city reeking of death.
Crusaders established 4 states, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem. After 40 years, Jerusalem became Christendom's eastern capital with secure pilgrim routes. Church of Holy Sepulchre dominated city life under Christian rule.
Crusaders enjoyed lavish lifestyles alongside religious devotion.
European nobles endured drafty castles with primitive comforts. Jerusalem's trade wealth enabled luxurious living standards.
Mosaic floors, marble walls, and functioning Roman sewage systems surpassed European hygiene.
This golden age proved short-lived.
In 1187, Saladin besieged Jerusalem, warning, "As you slaughtered its people, so shall you be slaughtered."
Saladin spared remaining crusaders, but demanded ransom for their freedom. Jerusalem avoided another massacre. After capturing Jerusalem, Saladin ordered removal of Christian symbols from Temple Mount.
Crosses were torn down from Dome of the Rock and Christian icons destroyed during Muslim celebrations. Jerusalem's fall shocked Europe, sparking Third Crusade, led by kings and popes.
Christian-Muslim dominance alternated like competing winds over Jerusalem.
European Crusader presence ended in 1291 with fall of Acre, their last stronghold.
While Crusades were religious wars, Modern Israeli-Palestinian conflicts blend nationalism with faith. Zionism's pursuit of Jewish homeland became core of contemporary Middle East tensions.
After 70 CE temple destruction, Jews became global diaspora minority.
Jewish commercial success and religious distinctiveness fueled European anti-Semitism. Christian Europe particularly resented Jews as Christkillers.
1492 saw mass Jewish expulsion after Spain's Reconquista completion. Western Europe expelled Jews eastward over next 5 decades.
Exiles clustered in Jerusalem's Jewish quarter, near Western Wall remnants.
This prayer site became known as Wailing Wall, symbolizing Jewish exile.
In 19th century Europe, rising nationalism made Jews perpetual outsiders.
Jews faced conversion demands for civil service positions in some nations.
Karl Marx himself came from a Jewish family, forced to convert.
His father changed their surname from Heschel to Heinrich for career survival.
Nationalism paradoxically inspired Jewish self-determination movements. Zionism emerged, advocating Jewish statehood restoration.
Late 19th century Russia witnessed violent anti-Semitic pogroms.
The first Aliyah, 1882-1903, saw massive Jewish emigration from Russia.
Between 1888 to 1914, 2 million Jews fled Russia, 15% heading to Palestine.
By 1890, Jews constituted 62.5% of Jerusalem's population.
Theodor Herzl, shocked by Dreyfus' affair, founded political Zionism.
Herzl concluded, European anti-Semitism made Jewish integration impossible.
He redefined Jewish struggle as national rather than religious.
Herzl advocated Jewish return to Palestine as sovereign nation builders.
His vision required European imperial backing and financial support. Zionist leaders lobbied European royalty and industrialists successfully. The late 19th to early 20th century marked the zenith of British imperial expansion. Though nominally Ottoman territory, Britain had already infiltrated Palestine. Britain courted Jews while exploiting Arabs against Ottomans, lettering Zionism in Jerusalem. By 1917, 3 years into WWI, Britain sought to retain Russia and America in the Allied camp. Most American and Russian Jews supported Zionism, while Germany courted Jewish financiers. The Balfour Declaration, November 9, 1917, ambiguously supported a Jewish home in Palestine, avoiding statehood recognition.
Post-WWI, British-controlled Palestine saw Jewish immigration surge, provoking Arab attacks.
During festivals, Arabs chanted expulsion slogans, prompting Jewish militia formation.
Britain pursued military balance through dual suppression tactics. While quelling Arab riots, Britain restricted Jewish community growth.
The 1939 White Paper capped Jewish immigration, disillusioning Zionists.
Zionists concluded, violence was necessary for statehood.
1947 UN Resolution 181 proposed partitioning Palestine into Jewish Arab states. Jerusalem became corpus separatum, under international control per the plan.
This triggered immediate regional turmoil.
David Ben-Gurion declared Israeli statehood in May 1948, becoming interim PM.
The Arab League, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, etc., swiftly invaded Israel to eradicate Jewish presence.
This became the First Arab-Israeli War. War concluded in early 1949 with armistice agreements between Israel and 5 Arab states.
Jerusalem's internationalization plan collapsed. Israel controlled West Jerusalem, Jordan held East Jerusalem and West Bank.
Post-war, Jerusalem became focal point of Palestinian conflict and global geopolitics. Continuous Arab-Israeli clashes culminated in Six-Day War, 1967.
Israel captured East Jerusalem and West Bank within 6 days, unifying Jerusalem.
This established Israeli security buffer zones and cemented U.S.-Israel alliance.
1980 Basic Law declared Jerusalem Israel's undivided capital.
This declaration provoked international condemnation.
UNSC Resolution 478 demanded embassy relocations from Jerusalem. Most nations maintained embassies in Tel Aviv, Israel's provisional capital.
This explains international uproar over Trump's embassy relocation in 2017.
We've examined 2 defining conflicts in Jerusalem's history. First, medieval crusades between Christianity and Islam over Holy City control.
Centuries-long conflict ended with Christian military failure and waning religious zeal.
Second, modern Palestinian and relay conflict rooted in Zionist aspirations and diaspora persecution. Zionism sought nation-statehood, mirroring European models as refuge from anti-Semitism. British imperial policies left Jerusalem's status ambiguous.
Ultimately, Arab-Israeli wars made Jerusalem modern geopolitics powder keg.
Having traversed Jerusalem's 3,000-year history, we conclude this book's exploration. The book explores the relationship between 3 major religions and Jerusalem. In their collective psyche, Jerusalem remains a sacred space. 3 millennia of interfaith bloodshed over this holy city forged today's Gilead flashpoint. What does the future hold for Jerusalem? Author Simon Sebag Montefiore observes, Jerusalem's religious political role intensifies. Israeli governance amplifies Muslim reverence through contested sovereignty.
For some Arabs, Jerusalem becomes symbolic resistance against Zionism and American influence.
Montefiore predicts Jerusalem's status quo will persist for decades. Two-state solution remains inevitable, Israel and Palestine coexisting.
Yet Montefiore suggests peace becomes possible through historical reconciliation and trust building.
This concludes our exploration of Jerusalem. The biography.
Study notes available below. Until next time.